Welcome to Recovery Corner, where the many pathways of recovery intersect. This is a space where you will hear personal stories of triumph in recovery, gain insights into various recovery-oriented systems, and learn how leaders across the country are building recovery-ready communities. The Recovery Corner podcast does not provide clinical advice. Hello, friends, and welcome to Recovery Corner's Recovery Corner. We're going to be doing something a little bit different now on the first Wednesday of every month. We're just going to have this informal chat session where we talk through the news with some of the best YPR staff members. We've got Saraiha, we've got Aaron, we've got Lex, and we've got me, Meg. So why don't we just go around and introduce ourselves? Saraiha, you want to start?
Sure. My name is Saraiha Sampson, and I work as the Director of Strategic Equity and Inclusion for Young People in Recovery. I've been here since 2019.
Cool, Lex.
Hi, everyone. I am Lex Arias. I am the Director of Communications and Community Engagement at Young People in Recovery, and I'm also an ally and really passionate about this organization and the work that we get to do.
Aaron.
My name is Aaron Young. I am the new Visual Communications Director here at YPR, a recovery ally, and just love the work we do at YPR. I've been here for about 9 years, so super excited to be on this podcast.
It's a long time, 9 years. You've
I
been
didn't even
here
know
since I was in middle school.
Since day one.
Aaron also always brings back kind of time boxes of back in the day at YPR. This is how things are done. Fascinating.
I'm glad you enjoy those. Sometimes I feel bad. I'm like, well, it used to be, but
it's great because it always ends off with and now we're doing it so much better.
Exactly.
And yes, who are you, Meg?
I'm Meg. I am the social media coordinator for Young People in Recovery. I've actually only been here since January, but I'm loving it. And I am myself a person in recovery. I hit 2 years pretty recently in March. And I'm getting snaps from everybody. Love that. And yeah, I'm excited to be here. So I think this is a really great group of people. I think we represent a lot of diverse perspectives.
Yeah.
We've all got different lived experiences with recovery, whether that be allyship or family members or lived experience. And so I'm excited to get into this and hear what everybody has to say. So let's start it off with Aaron. What have you brought to us today?
So we have an article today from the Daily Herald. It's Chicago's Daily Herald. And the title of the article is "We Help People with Addiction. Elk Grove Puts Narcan Dispensers in Police Department Lobby." And the basics, I won't go too deep into the story. Go check it out. Again, just Google the Daily Herald in Chicago. But I thought this was pretty cool. You have a police station that is advocating for resources for people that need them, and to put Narcan in the police station, I think is a pretty significant push forward. Just being in the space and loosely knowing kind of intricate details, but kind of knowing there's some bias, or there's in the community there's back and forth, there's opinions, there's always been debate about the use of Narcan.
Mm-hmm.
And I think just it's interesting taking a stand like this police station is doing. I mean, for me, I haven't heard about this. I know there's a lot of states and different districts around the country where medical professionals carry Narcan. Finally, that's super cool. But again, I haven't seen it encouraged in a police station. So I'd be curious to hear from the panel, just based, I don't know if you guys had a chance to read it or not, but that is the heading is literally what the article is about. But I'd be curious to see if anybody on the panel would like to give us any type of opinion, what you think. Is it good? Is it bad? Is it very different? Maybe this is very common and it's just news to me, just being an ally and kind of surfing the web. I'm I've never seen that. But I mean, even last August, I was with one of our San Diego locations, California locations, and we got an opportunity to kind of roam the streets in downtown San Diego to give out Narcan. And that was a different experience for me. Like all of this is new, just being loosely in this space for so long. It's like, this is pretty significant. Yeah. Love to hear your thoughts.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I can jump us off here. So I think there's like really two important things about this article. It's one, they're vending machines. Cool. Two, in a police department, right? And the beautiful thing about YPR is that we embrace all pathways of recovery, and this is very much a harm reduction pathway of recovery. So I think this is awesome, and I'm just going to start us off there, but it's excited to hear what everybody else has to say.
I agree.
Yeah.
I was really excited about the vending machine aspect specifically, just because that's something that we at YPR specifically has done a lot of advocacy work in California, trying to get vending machines like that put in like all of college campuses across California, and we were actually like able to do that with a lot of other agencies. But I've never heard of a police station like putting something like that in the lobby. That's like really cool.
I agree. I've definitely heard of Narcan vending machines, but just like Saraiha said, I haven't heard of a police station. Honestly, I rarely hear about police taking a harm reduction approach in the first place. I know it happens, but I don't think that is the most common way to go about dealing with drug crises in different areas. So to see a police station and a police force that is so dedicated to harm reduction that they're putting that kind of thing in their own building, I think that's a great step forward. I really hope that more follow suit.
I have a quick question. Just I know the answer, but Meg, what can you explain what harm reduction even is and the importance of it and the lack that it's represented it through the recovery community?
Yeah, so harm reduction is an approach that people take when they want to reduce the harm to themselves while they continue to use drugs or alcohol. So harm reduction can look like fentanyl test strips to make sure that the substances you're using are not laced with anything that you don't know is in there, or Narcan in the event of an overdose, making sure you carry Narcan so that you can reverse that overdose. Steps like that make drug use safer without necessarily having to force everybody into an abstinence only approach.
Thank you. Yeah, I know I mean, just from an ally perspective, I always wonder what the key, like the words mean. And I hear the abstinence, and I know that, yeah, that's very important. That's a very important step to people in recovery. And so thank you for clarifying that. That's
Yeah,
my
and
article.
previously, awesome. Previously, we've known that, or we've heard, right, that abstinence is like the main pathway of
Yeah.
recovery. And so this harm reduction approach, although new and sometimes controversial, for example, when it comes to like safe injection sites, right, there's a lot of controversy around that. But even with like Narcan and fentanyl testing strips, some people think that it's encouraging drug use. But like the reality of the situation is people are going to use drugs. And
They're
so
already doing it.
yeah, they're already
Yeah.
doing it. They're going to continue to do it. And so if we can provide education, access to resources that like help save lives, because unfortunately, like the lack of education and the abstinence-based framework, it leads to overdose, right?
Yeah.
Because like we said, people are going to do drugs.
And it focuses
Yeah.
on failure. It focuses on like the things people don't have, or the things that aren't going well, right?
Yeah.
Instead of focusing on all of like the things that they have in their lives, like social supports and social capital that would be encouraging to their recovery journey. Like we just change, like the mindset about it is wrong. Like it's a problem with like how we approach it in general when we are pushing for very strict, like just abstinence. Like that's I think we as a recovery community and as a scientific community are like realizing that it doesn't work for most people.
Yeah, I
not
think it's
only
important to meet people where they're at. We
Mm-hmm.
can't force people to do anything. They have to make their own decisions. And
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure you all experienced this as a teenager. Your parents tell you to do something and you don't want to do it. You have to
do
arrive
the
at the decision by
complete
yourself.
opposite of it.
Yeah. People are
Yeah.
just like that. It's not just teenagers. That's human nature. And I just think that harm reduction is a really good way to bring that in and meet these people with understanding and give them what they need.
Agreed.
And we also, I believe that there are studies out there that show that if people start to take a harm reduction approach, that they're more likely to come into like a better place in their recovery, right? So that will lead them into moderation, that will lead them into sobriety, perhaps, right? Because they're not being stigmatized, and putting these vending machines and Narcan vending machines within the police stations is further destigmatizing use, right?
100%.
I definitely agree. Saraiha, do you want to take us in with what you brought?
Yeah, absolutely. So mine is actually not happy at all, and I'm sorry in advance. I brought the sad one today, but I heard this news. This news came out on May 30th. This article specifically is from CNN, and the title is "Courts Grant Sackler Family Immunity in Exchange for $6 billion Opioid Settlement." So, if you don't know who the Sackler family is, they are the family that owns Purdue Pharmaceuticals, the company that invented Oxycontin. And not only invented Oxycontin, but they really invented this entire field of medical advertising, where they started marketing Oxycontin very aggressively to people and to doctors alike, telling everybody that it was not habit forming, that there was like no risk of anything, and that like, oh, you're having withdrawal symptoms. Oh, it's just because it's a fake withdrawal. It's not real. Like, that's the things they were telling people. This is what doctors are telling people. And so a lot of people got hooked on Oxycontin, and this really started, it was like the catalyst for this entire opioid crisis, right? So in the recent years, this billionaire family, they actually moved like billions and billions of their dollars into offshore accounts so that they could bankrupt their company. And now sadly enough, it has officially been decided that like individual claims, anything like that, if you lost somebody or somebody you love lost somebody to this or anything, you can't sue the Sacklers at all. They can't be held liable. And the other thing too is that, yeah, there is $6 billion going into like, the recovery movement, but let's be honest, like that money gets distributed to the federal government, and then it gets distributed to states. And when that happens, like so like, for example, states can say, oh, this money is going to go to prevention. Well, prevention could also mean criminalization. Like, they can put that money into the criminal justice system. They can put that money into like Head Start, or like, like they can get like very creative with like how they use this funding. So it's kind of just like, yeah, they're kind of just getting off scot-free. Yeah, they have
Damn.
a lot of money more. Yeah. Yeah, I got a couple
What makes
comments
me
from Reddit too. People were very unhappy.
what
I would
makes me
hope
so
so.
mad
That
about this is that they were purposefully lying. It wouldn't have
Yeah.
been great, but it would have been a completely different situation if the research wasn't there and they didn't
Yeah.
know and they said, "Oh, we don't know, but we know it helps with pain." But no, they knew that it was habit forming, and they specifically lied and said it's not habit forming.
Hmm.
Yeah, they manipulated the data and the FDA approved it. Yeah, it's very concerning. There's a really awesome show. I believe it's on HBO. It's called Dope Sick. Have any of you seen
Yeah.
that? And it
Yes.
goes, oh, it's so good. It
So
really
good.
goes into this in like a dramatized way, but it like a
Mhm.
very, very factual as well, to help bring perspective to what the opioid epidemic looks like and how it
Mhm.
started. And it was really because of Purdue Pharma.
Yeah, 100%. And I just think like if $6 billion seems like a really low ticket for like
Yeah.
poisoning generations. Like, this isn't like a problem. Like, this isn't even like a genocide. Like, this is like people are dead, but like this is a problem like we're to deal with for generations. Like, they poisoned communities, and 6 billion seems like the article states that money is not even like they're going to pay it off over time, and they're only using the process, like the profits of their investments. So like they're not even like, it's not even dipping into their savings. Like, they're just giving money they don't even have right now and just saying, oh, we'll give it. Like, it's not hurting them at all.
Yeah.
I
That's
think,
so sad.
yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the reasons I love working at YPR and why the work we
Yeah.
do is so significant. Just because things like this do happen. And again, to give a positive light, like everybody on this call works super hard, and we try to impact people's lives in a better way that maybe have, suffered from this, or the lineage that they come from is suffered
Yeah.
from, like, and so it makes me super super just grateful for the work that we do. But yeah, this is nasty.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Saraiha, bringing us down with the sad one.
We should have ended with the
information,
sad
though.
one. We should have ended with the sad one.
I
Like,
don't
it's
know
finally
about that.
it's finally sunny outside. It's not raining where I'm at. I'm like, oh man.
Oh yeah, where is everyone? I'm in Denver, Colorado.
Denver as well.
Memphis.
Also in Denver.
Oh geez, well, I'm across the country.
Well,
You're the odd man out, Saraiha.
Colorado's
Ew.
expensive.
You're
That-
telling me. Hey, it's rained literally for the last few days and the sun is finally out. Like,
Yeah,
I'm so happy.
beautiful.
well, I'm glad you're part of this group, Saraiha, because that also goes to show that YPR is a national organization, and we really do have people all over the
Exactly.
country. We just happen to have our core marketing team, communications team in Denver, which is
In Denver.
really great for us. Awesome. Well, I'm gonna move us forward here with our next topic, which honestly might be like kind of like a multi-month conversation, because there's a lot to cover here, but we'll see. So I have been reading through the U.S. Surgeon General's advisory on the healing effects of social connection and community. The paper itself is called Our Epidemic of Loneliness and Isolation, and it was just published this year. Surya laughs.
Sorry, we read a lot of similar things, Lex. I think, yeah.
Yeah, no, I was like fascinated by this, and the moment I saw it, I was like, I need to read through this. So I'm gonna read out some facts here that I highlighted, and then I'd love to get your all perspective on this. But one of the things that just jumped out at me that I was like, oh my God, is that there's research that shows that lacking social connection can increase the risk for premature death as much as smoking up to 15 cigarettes a day.
I read that too. That's insane.
15 cigarettes a day.
That's horrifying.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Oh, so needless to say, there's a high importance in connection, community, right? And that's also one of the beautiful things, not to be like a YPR promo person, but I definitely am. I think we all are. But like that's one of the beautiful things that our organization does, is that we create community, right? And we create community within the recovery space, which in a lot of cases, right, loneliness and isolation are what leads someone into addiction, right? And mental health crises.
Yeah.
So again, grateful for this organization and the things that we do here. So like, yeah, let's just talk about like social connection and community as a whole, and even like what we think the pandemic did to enhance those feelings of isolation, and what we can do to bring us back into a community mindset.
I think, gosh, I think that this problem started before the pandemic, right? I think a lot of us on this call were like raised with social media and all of the, like, even before I was old enough to have social media, there was already MySpace and there was already like Facebook and like all of these things. And so I think we kind of that kind of kickstarted it, right? And then I think the pandemic was just the cherry on top. We're like, all of a sudden, okay, now we have no choice but to do things virtually, and like we have no choice. Like and some places were worse than others. I was living in Los Angeles at the time, and like it was very strict. Like you had a curfew. I got escorted home by the police one time for walking my dog past 8 o'clock at night. Like it was really intense. And so yeah, I think it really just shone a light on a problem that we've already been developing because of like yeah, like the internet has like so much potential in it, globalization and connection, but also it means we're spending more time physically at home alone.
Yeah, I mean, if you could put two and two together with my recovery date, my addiction got pretty bad during the pandemic because I felt isolated. I was living in the dorms at the time because I was going to college
Yeah.
and the dorm shut down. I had to go back home to Iowa. I had to move halfway across the country, completely away from my friends. I didn't have a room there. I was sleeping on the couch. Like everything was completely upended. And we've all heard the saying, addiction is the opposite of connection. I really felt that, and I know a lot of people felt that too. So the loneliness, it really, I don't think a lot of people realize how profound of an effect that it can have on people. Like it can have an effect on anybody. Loneliness sucks no matter who you are, but especially with people who are already struggling with substance use or with mental health problems or anything else that's already making their life a little more difficult, adding loneliness and isolation on top of that can be the camel that breaks the straw's back, can be the straw that breaks the camel's back.
Yeah, and I want to say something to this, to what you're saying, and kind of follow up to that, and speak to social media, right? And connection, because we do think of social media as a place where we connect, right? And for a lot of people, like, that is community, and we think about people who perhaps have um some form of like health concern, physical disability, that perhaps like doesn't allow them or prevents them from connecting with people out in the world, right? Physically, one to one. And so there's this beauty around social media and the internet that really like provides that level of connection. And yet there is something so important about face-to-face human connection, and even this thing that happens that's called co-regulation. Are you all familiar with that?
No, what is
Where
that?
so when we're with people, biologically, we co-regulate. Our nervous system co-regulates with that other person. So and and that happens kind of like mutually, right? And so if somebody's really anxious and you're around that person, have you felt like you just get like
Yeah.
automatically, you kind of get a little anxious, right? The same thing happens when you're with someone who's like really grounded and loving and supportive, and like, and they give you a hug. Like, how important is a hug, in terms of co-regulation, in terms of human connection? It's actually like one of our basic needs, like as much as important as like food, sex, water, sleep. Our human connection is one of those.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
Yeah, I agree. I think, yeah, back to the pandemic, like, because I'm kind of on the same fence. I know that in today's world, we've never had the opportunities like we've had to connect with people. My sister lives in Ecuador, and I can have a face-to-face conversation, not face-to-face, but screen-to-screen like conversation and strengthen a relationship, you know, super far from where I live. Um, but also, yeah, I mean, once everything lifted in 2020, 2021, and you could get that in person. I know like the pandemic for me, it was like, oh cool, like connecting with people digitally, and it was like amazing. And then give that like a month, maybe
A
two,
month.
and then
Yeah.
it was just like, okay, this is super weird. And then just that longing for connection. And then the
Yeah.
moment like you reconnect with that friend, that person that that you do community with and you have before. And I mean, it changed the game. And so even you have like even work, like I miss
Yeah.
in-person offices and just the conversations that I could have and questions and problems that I would have solved in literally 2 to 3 minutes. I'm like, that's a call, that's a Zoom meeting now. And having some sort of local community of people, whether that's work or like religious things or school or social settings or community groups, just having some sort of human connection. Yeah, definitely is fruitful in life.
Yeah.
Totally agree. And I think I pulled this fact from the same article that you're referencing, Lex, but I read that people in the past decade or so have gone from spending 60 minutes per day on average with friends to 20 minutes. That's
Mm,
a big drop.
I saw that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, even me, like I think I'm a huge gamer, and so if I'm not like working and like cleaning my house, yeah, then I'm like probably gaming, right? Big Xbox person. And for me, that developed over the pandemic because it was like talking to people. Like it was just like how to make friends, like when I'm just like in this city. Yeah, there we go, Xbox, there we go. You know, like and so but even then, like I was talking to people a lot, but it wasn't, I was still depressed, you know what I mean? Like I was still struggling with my mental health even though I was talking with my close like video game friends like for 4 hours a day. You know, it didn't matter. Like it's still, you know, and now some of my most of my gaming friends live around here in Memphis, and like we're able to see each other more often, and
Mm.
like a lot of our community is still virtual, but it's really nice just to be able to like, you know, go to paint a piece and paint some pottery together, you know?
Nice. I love that you have that balance between, okay, you have like this virtual
Try.
community, but that you
I have to. I had to learn that
yeah,
balance because I was literally struggling
definitely.
with depression because I was like spending, and I was like, why? Because I'm in community, but like I wasn't in community the way that my mind and body needed me to be, you know?
Yeah. Again, it's that co-regulation, right? That like
Yeah.
physical element of connection. That's so important. And I think it's
Real
like it
quick.
was interesting because throughout the pandemic, like we also got really creative about how we could connect with people. Like my
Mhm.
girlfriends and I, we all started like a virtual book club. We had this like chat going on Marco Polo. I don't know if you're all familiar with that app, where we were all just like sharing like are doing like these check-ins, daily check-ins about like what our emotional state was during that
Oh,
time. And it actually like it deepened a lot of my connections in this really really beautiful way. But like again, I kind of like a blessing and a curse at the same time, right? Where it was like it really enhanced these connections I had. And then also there was this depressive aspect, right? Of like I lived by myself in a tiny studio
yeah.
apartment
Same. Yeah, at the
too.
time.
Yeah, at the time, and so I still do. But um now it's like the appreciation I have for like being able to be around people is so much greater.
Mhm.
I'm way friendlier. I like say hi to people. Like when I'm walking my dog, be like, hi. And I never used to like talk to strangers. I was never that person. But like now I feel like I live in the South now, and that's probably part of it. But I also feel like it's also the pandemic. Like now it's like I'm so happy to see another person. I feel like a
No, I
dog.
love that. And I can encourage that we all say like hi and good morning and good
Yeah.
afternoon and good
Just
evening
say
to
hi.
people.
I've never had
Yeah.
anybody have a bad reaction. And like it's a new thing for me. Like it's just been like the last couple years I've been doing this. And like everybody's great. Everybody's nice.
It's like a small challenge to step out of your comfort to just be like, I'm gonna say good morning to every
Yeah.
single person
Or
I
just like
pass
if you
by.
see someone, I
Yeah.
love to like compliment people. So like if I see
Yeah.
someone with like really cool hair, like their outfit, like you can just tell they
Yeah.
like curated it really well. I'll just be like, you look
Yeah.
amazing. Like your hair is
Love
on
that.
point. And like people get so happy.
It's so nice to just make people happy in like the little ways that we
Yeah.
can.
Hmm.
Because there's this big emphasis on random acts of kindness, I think.
Mm.
But
Hmm.
what about random acts of compliments?
Just niceness.
It's so easy to just
Yeah,
say something nice to a person. It's so easy.
it really is.
Because people always think about kind things as like, oh, pay for the coffee of the person behind you in line, or like do some gesture that maybe require resources or more time or more effort. But just like saying hi to someone or complimenting the way they look or whatever it may be, it's just such an easy way to make someone's day.
I'm from Honduras, and like something I really appreciate about going home is that everybody literally says good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and that's something I want to incorporate within the Denver community. So, y'all Denver folks and
I
in
feel like
Memphis,
Denver people are pretty nice.
very, very nice.
California, not all Californians, but like
Mm.
Pacific, North, or like West. Yeah, sometimes I'm like, good morning. And they're like, So
Why are you talking to me?
yeah, I'm
Why are
like,
you
oh,
talking to
sorry. Yeah, it's super down south. I'm like, everybody, I feel bad not
Weird.
saying hi. I'm like, oh wow, you said thank you.
I'm still going through the
Yeah.
culture shock. Yeah.
See, I grew up in a small town, so it was weird if you didn't say hi to people because you
Mm,
knew everybody. It is a
yeah,
slight against somebody if you do not greet them.
I can imagine that.
But yeah, real quick, before we move on to our final topic, since we're on the topic of loneliness, I just wanted to ask how everybody fights loneliness. Like one thing that you do that gets you out of the house, maybe talking to new people, cannot be just saying hi to strangers on the street. We already said that. It's got to be something different. But
Damn.
what does everyone do?
For me, it's just forced community. Getting up, going to see a game with friends, or just kind of forcing yourself out. Because if you don't, you'll kind of sit in it. And so just literally pushing yourself, do something, go somewhere. If you don't have plans, go to the grocery store, go watch a movie. I don't know. Get up and do something. That's what I
Yeah.
do.
Same. My boyfriend and I are both like just really introverted, like homebody kind of people. And so we really have to force ourselves. Sometimes it's just like, hey, like we're gonna go get boba today because we haven't left the house in 3 days. You know what I mean? Like even if it's just like there and like, yeah, we just force it. We'll just try and organize game nights. And I'm really grateful that his family is here and local to the area. So like it's really fun to like just spend time with family and like go to little barbecues and stuff. But yeah, sometimes you got to force it though. Like there are days where I'm like, I do not want to do anything, but
Yeah. I'm guilty of that too because well, I work from home. I think we all work from home. I live by myself. So I like don't really have to see anyone if I don't want to for as long as I want. My way to make it a point to socialize a little bit, right, is to go to Goodwill,
I
which
love it.
Oh,
It's
then I get
100%.
myself in trouble a little bit, but it's Goodwill. So like how much trouble can you get yourself into?
It's fine.
But
It's fine.
it's like sustainable shopping. I don't know. I'm a big fan. I go to Goodwill maybe like once a week and I just like scavenge hunt for the like coolest stuff that I can find. And I find that there's a lot of Latina women, probably men too, but I tend to talk to Latina women that work there. So I get to use my Spanish and engage
Oh,
with them that way. I always like talking to the people who are checking me out too. I mean, people are really interesting there. Like their stories are beautiful. I mean, I love the mission behind Goodwill, even though I recently found out they're not a nonprofit, they're a for-profit business.
yeah.
But
I didn't know that either until recently.
yeah, but that's okay because they also hire formerly incarcerated people and get them back into working, and apparently they pay them really well, and provide really great benefits. So yeah,
And
that's
it,
my way of yeah.
yeah, and thrift shopping in general, like it's getting really popular right now on like TikTok, which is so funny to me because I grew up thrift shopping because I had to, and now I thrift shop because I want to because I like to find really weird stuff. But it's really there's something to be said about just encouraging sustainability. Like
I agree
that's such a big deal, just encouraging sustainable shopping.
fully.
yeah. I think my biggest tip. So I'm a big fan of adult learning classes. I like to go learn, and that those can cost money, like I've got like a German group that I go to because I speak German, but there are also like free Spanish language meetups or like free art classes, also paid art classes or writing groups, just seeking out places to go be with people who already share a hobby with you. Like if you're going to an art group, everybody there is there to draw or paint or whatever. You already have that common ground. And then it's just such a nice springboard off of that. You can see if there's anything else. Or you can just dig really deep into that one topic you're already both interested in.
That's why
I,
everyone
lo-
should be in
I
a D&D group.
do not disturb.
Dungeons and Dragons. Sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Never mind.
Pro tip
No, I
from
love
Saraiha.
that. That's hilarious. The fact that Lex said, "Do not disturb." Yes,
Really
I
good
love
guess.
this. I love this podcast. You guys are awesome.
All right, well, I guess I'll dig into our final topic of the day. And this one relates to alcohol and nutrition labels. So recently, Ireland passed a law. They're going to start putting much more detailed labels on their alcohol. Because I don't know if you guys have looked at alcohol bottles in the US, but there's no information on them. You don't know the ingredients, you don't know the calorie count. They just have this label that says could be dangerous for pregnant women, can impair your ability to operate a vehicle or machinery and other health consequences. But every other food or drink item in the US has to have list of ingredients. This is how much sodium it has, how many carbs, how much whatever. So why can alcohol keep secrets from us? But like my
Weird.
box of Kraft mac and cheese is I have to know everything that's in that. Like I don't really understand why the industry that it's a poison.
Yeah.
Alcohol is toxic. Like why is that exempt from the basic health regulations in the US while food, drink, anything else that is meant for consumption has to be so strictly regulated? I don't get it. But Ireland is going to start imposing that, and they'll be the most thorough health labels on alcohol yet anywhere in the world.
Awesome.
And they're going to have calories listed, how many grams of alcohol. They're going to have specific warnings for specific kinds of cancer that alcohol has been linked to, in addition to something similar to the US label, like pregnancy, it could mess with your pregnancy, or you shouldn't operate vehicles. But it's just going to be much more in depth. And I think that more countries should follow suit. And I'm honestly shocked that that basic amount of health information is only going to be going on in Ireland. It's not anywhere else yet. And it seems like it should be normalized everywhere. What do you guys think?
That's crazy. I didn't even know that. I didn't even
That's
think
bananas.
to
Yeah.
know that.
I
That's
didn't
wild.
even think about any of that before, really. Because I guess I thought like alcohol is just alcohol, right? It's just, I mean, like mixed drinks is one thing, right?
Yeah.
It's 100% alcohol, like whatever that means. But like, yeah, like I think if we think about like the distilling process, right? I don't really know what I'm talking about, but like I'm assuming that they use like other chemicals, right, to like
Or just
create the
ingredients.
alcohol
They have to be
ingredients.
fermenting something. Like
Exactly.
Or even if you think about wine, like that's grapes, and it doesn't have to tell you anything about what else is in that wine because it's not just
Yeah.
grapes that are left to sit. There's other stuff that goes in there.
that's
So
crazy to me. I've
I
never
don't
thought
know why
about it.
we
I don't
don't
think
get
I've
to
ever
know.
looked. I'm gonna guess that alcohol has been around for like a very long time. And when I look at like some other corporate lobbying groups, like the NRA or like Big Tobacco, right? Like those are groups that have like a lot of power, not just in the
Mhm.
United States, but like across the world, right? Like these are like
Yeah.
big like billionaire corporations with like lots of international connections like we can't even fathom, and I'm going to assume that that has to have something to do with it. Like why why else would they not include the information in the first place? I feel like it's something that like they probably don't want us to know. Not that there's something weird in there, but just that like limiting our information, like that just means more people are going to buy it. You know what I mean?
And
Yeah.
that, and they can promote the good stuff, right? Or the like
Exactly.
positive effects or like
It's just grapes.
the sexy aspect of whatever they're promoting, right? This makes me think of cannabis, right? Because like I've been thinking about cannabis quite a bit because like cannabis is legal in a lot of states now. It's socially accepted. And I have been thinking a lot about the amount of pesticides that is in cannabis. And so we think about, and I think about the same thing in terms of alcohol, right? Because it's like, and I don't know if this is the way it works, but when you buy a joint at the dispensary, you buy the herb, you just think I'm buying the plant, right? But I have a friend who worked in a trimming factory, right? And she said that the amount of toxic chemicals that they use over and over and over again on the plant is terrifying. And that is not information that people are thinking about. That is not information that is widely available. And so I'm like correlating this back to your article, Meg, in terms of thinking that there's something similar within like the labeling of the alcohol, right? That there's maybe like the different kinds of like toxic chemicals that people use in order to produce what they're producing.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
I think
I never thought of that.
I also think, yeah, to piggyback off what you guys are saying, like the business of alcohol and worldwide too, because you got to think like regional specific, like Mexico's known for a specific type, America's known for a specific type, Ireland, you know, Europe, like every region, the amount, I mean, they call it liquid gold for a reason, right? Like the amount of profit that industry makes is, you'd be surprised, right? Just for liquids. And so, yeah, I guarantee there's something to do with the lack of regulation when it comes to food labels. They probably skipped it. And then also too, it wasn't legal. I mean, it hasn't been legal, at least in the States for, I mean, it's been a while, right? But also like there might
Like
be something.
60 years. I don't know. Like, yeah, not like that long.
Not
actually.
too, I mean, that's not too far long ago. So there probably is something that's, you know, skip the regulation and kind of the wild west in terms of regulation, just because I mean, it's the profits are just absurd and highly regional. Like that's what blows my mind when I'm like sitting here thinking, I'm like, oh wow, yeah, like there's specific, like there's probably whole countries that profit just off of their alcoholic beverage.
The mezcal or like, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And when we think about it too, like when I go into a grocery store and I'm buying like fruits and vegetables or produce or anything or meat or whatever, like they also don't list the pesticides used in it on the labels either. And that's conscious. Like that's like we already know that's because of lobbying.
Yeah.
And like that's scary. That's so scary. I never thought about it extending past food, as terrifying as that is.
It really is, because they have to put the ingredients on the label for food labels, but the ingredient is strawberries. And, you know, even if there's a bunch of pesticides, you know, they didn't put, like, that's not part of it, whatever. But with this particular topic, with the alcohol, I am mostly surprised that it's consistent across the world. Because you could talk about US lobbying all day, but then why is it the same in Mexico and Germany and Russia and everywhere? It's just so crazy that it's such a precedent that nobody has to divulge that information. And kind of talking about that, Ireland is getting pushback from the European Union because with some of the alcohol companies that trade within the EU, they're like, you know, we do think it's good to tell people that it could give them cancer, but what about us and our money?
Oh my goodness.
So
I can't.
You got nutrition labels on Oreos, but not alcohol. That's messed up.
Oh gosh. Yeah. I could go down a rabbit hole with that, but we don't have enough time for it.
I didn't even start talking about Monsanto. Okay.
Yeah. Saraiha, let's talk offline.
Join the after show right after this.
All right. Well, good conversation, everybody. Even with Saraiha's downer article.
It was interesting though. I'm happy to know it.
As angry as it makes us, everybody should know and everybody should talk about it and everybody should be mad. Okay.
Yeah.
It sets a precedent. That's dangerous.
Not okay.
Yeah, lots of good information today. And all of our lovely listeners can tune back in on the first Wednesday of every month. This is going to be a recurring series once a month. We're going to talk like generally about what happened the previous month in recovery, but there might be some broader topics, you know. It's just kind of a more casual, laid back come chat with our YPR staff type of episode. So be sure to like, subscribe, follow us on Instagram, all that lovely stuff. I will be linking all of the articles that we used in our show notes, and make sure that you join us next Wednesday. All right, bye. We're doing something a little bit different now. We're gonna be... You made me laugh, Lex. Now I have to start over.
Sorry. Okay, sorry, go ahead.